The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. But today, I'm breaking that rule. Honestly, I don't think this movie even needs an introduction because it's one of the greatest thrillers in history. So without wasting any more time, let's dive straight into it.
Welcome to Fight Club.
The story begins with the main character, a man who doesn't even have a name in this movie. The writer purposely kept him nameless so that we, the audience, can relate to him more easily. We could place our own name in his position. Since it is through his voice that we hear the entire story, let's just call him the narrator. For the last 6 months, the narrator hasn't been able to sleep. He suffers from insomnia. He works in a big company, and his daily routine is nothing more than going to the office, coming back home, and spending his hard-earned salary on expensive furniture and branded items. He wasted all of his money buying things he thought were essential to gain respect in society, because these companies make people believe that without such things, their lives are incomplete. And on top of that, credit card companies make it easier by lending money, only to later collect it back with huge interest. Even though the narrator's house was full of everything one could dream of, he still felt lonely. Deep inside, he was unsatisfied with his lifestyle. He lived in constant isolation. That's why one day, he went to see a doctor and asked, "Will this illness kill me?" The doctor replied, "Nobody dies from insomnia." He explained that the narrator doesn't need pills. What he needs is natural and healthy sleep. The doctor suggested exercise instead. But the narrator insisted, telling him how much pain he was in, begging for medication. The doctor then said, "Do you want to know what real pain is? Then go to the testicular cancer support group next Tuesday." The narrator followed his advice. He went there, pretending to be a cancer patient. Everyone in that room was actually sick. They shared their sorrows and hugged each other while crying. That day, the narrator met Bob. Bob introduced himself and hugged the narrator tightly, crying in his arms. Bob told him, "Now you can cry too." And even though the narrator had no real suffering like them, he broke down and cried loudly. For the first time in ages, he felt lighter. That very night, he had the best sleep. From then on, he became addicted to visiting different cancer and support groups every night. He cried with strangers, released his stress, his exhaustion, and his frustrations. And only then could he sleep peacefully. As he himself said, "Every evening, I die. And every evening, I am reborn." But one day, everything changed. In one of the meetings, a woman named Marla showed up. The narrator immediately realized she was a fraud, just like him. Marla had no cancer, no illness at all. She was just lying, and her presence destroyed everything for him. Because as the narrator explains, two fakers can never exist in the same group. Since I was already there, I couldn't cry freely in front of her. And without crying, I couldn't sleep. For 4 nights, he was unable to sleep again. Finally, he decided to confront Marla. He told her, "You're a liar. You don't have any disease. I'll expose you in front of everyone." Marla calmly replied, "Go ahead, but I'll expose you too." The narrator was stunned. He argued, "I've been coming here for a year. This is my routine. And if there's another faker here, I won't be able to cry." He asked Marla to attend some other groups instead. Eventually, they decided to split the different support groups between them. They even exchanged phone numbers. But when Marla noticed that his phone number had no name saved on it, she smirked and said, "You don't even have a name, do you? Who are you?" Then she walked away. Meanwhile, the narrator's job often required him to travel abroad. His company sent him to inspect car crash sites for vehicles that had been in accidents. One day, during a flight, the narrator dozed off. When he woke up, he found a man sitting next to him. The two started talking, and the narrator asked what he did for a living. The man replied, "I make soap." Strangely, they even had the same type of suitcase. The man then handed over his card. That's how the narrator learned his name, Tyler Durden. Tyler casually mentioned, "You can make bombs out of many household items." The narrator thought to himself, "I've never met someone like him in my life. He's so smart." When the plane landed, Tyler disappeared. But when the narrator reached his apartment, he was shocked. His entire place had caught fire. Everything he owned, everything he had bought was gone. Heartbroken, he tried calling Marla but couldn't. Then from a public phone booth, he dialed Tyler's number. At first, Tyler didn't answer. But just as the narrator was about to leave, the phone rang. It was Tyler. The narrator said, "Do you remember me? We sat together on the plane. We had the same suitcase." Tyler replied that he did remember. The narrator admitted, "I called earlier, but you didn't pick up." To that, Tyler laughed and said, "I never pick up calls." And finally, the two of them meet at a bar. While talking with Tyler, the narrator thanks him for the beer. Then he says, "I need to find a hotel now." But Tyler replies, "Why would you need a hotel? You called me because you needed a place to stay. So why don't you stay at my place instead?" The narrator hesitates but asks if he really can. Tyler agrees, but then suddenly says, "I want a favor from you. I want you to hit me. Hit me as hard as you can." The narrator is shocked. He refuses at first, thinking this is madness, but Tyler keeps insisting. Come on, nobody's watching. What does it matter? Finally, the narrator throws a punch at Tyler. Tyler hits back, and just like that, they start fighting each other. Surprisingly, they both enjoy it. Through the pain and punches, all their frustration and stress seem to melt away. The narrator laughs and says, "We should do this again sometime." Later, Tyler takes the narrator to his house, but the narrator is stunned to see it. It's a rundown old place, always leaking water from the ceiling. The next day, the two of them start fighting again in front of a bar. A few people notice and get curious. Soon, more and more men join in. This is how their fights begin to spread. After every fight, the narrator was badly bruised, but he didn't care, because for the first time, he felt alive. He no longer needed support groups to feel relieved. Meanwhile, his dissatisfaction with his job grew worse. He couldn't focus at work anymore, which made his boss angry. One night after fighting, the narrator asks, "So who do we fight next?" From then on, every Saturday, he even imagined fighting with his boss. Their group was growing larger every week. Eventually, the narrator and Tyler made a plan with the bartender and officially opened a secret club in the basement. This was the birth of Fight Club. The purpose of Fight Club wasn't winning or losing. There were no prizes. The idea was to free men from their suffocating mechanical lives and give them a taste of freedom through pain and chaos. Tyler and the narrator together set the rules. The first rule of Fight Club: you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule: you do not talk about Fight Club. The third rule: if someone wants to quit the fight ends. The fourth rule: only 2 men can fight at one time. And like this, 8 rules were established. One day, Marla calls the narrator, asking why he doesn't come to the support groups anymore. He tells her, "I found a new place, but it's only for men." Then he hangs up without even properly ending the call. Later one night, the narrator notices Tyler's room is locked, something that never happened before. He assumes Tyler is inside. He starts talking through the door, saying, "You won't believe the dream I had last night." But suddenly, Marla walks out from behind. She smirks, "Oh, I definitely won't believe what happened last night." The narrator is stunned and furious. "What are you doing here? This is my house." Marla gets offended and storms off. When Tyler shows up, he explains that after the narrator left the phone unattended, he had picked up Marla's call, talked to her, and then brought her over. Tyler even teases him, "So, have you ever been intimate with Marla?" The narrator quickly denies it. Tyler warns him, "Fine, but never ever talk to Marla about me." Soon after, the police call the narrator, informing him that someone had blown up his old apartment using homemade dynamite. When he tells Tyler about it, Tyler casually says, "Today we're going to make soap." He explains that the first thing they'll need is fat, so they sneak into a clinic, steal bags of fat, and begin making soap. During the process, Tyler suddenly pours acid on the narrator's hand. As the narrator screams in pain, Tyler lectures him, "Without pain and sacrifice, you can't achieve anything. Meditation won't save you. You must accept death. You must face your fears." At first, the narrator can't handle it, but then Tyler shows him the same burn scars on his own hand. Seeing that, the narrator calms down. He begins to accept the pain, to conquer fear. Finally, Tyler applies glycerin and soothes the wound. The narrator also notices that Tyler sells each soap bar for $20, and the rich are the biggest buyers. At work, his boss shows him a paper with all the rules of Fight Club written on it. He scolds the narrator, but instead of staying silent, the narrator talks back in a fearless way. Just like Tyler, his boss is shocked. Later, Marla calls him again, asking him to come over. On the way, the narrator runs into Bob. He asks Bob how he's doing. Bob smiles and says, "I've never felt this good in my entire life. I finally found something meaningful." The narrator asks, "What is it?" Bob replies, "The first rule is, I can't talk about it." The narrator realizes Bob is talking about Fight Club. He admits, "I'm also part of it." But then Bob asks him, "Do you know Tyler Durden, the man who started this club?" Hearing this, the narrator feels strange, because he and Tyler started Fight Club together, yet nobody even knows who he is. Everyone only knows Tyler. At the basement, the narrator notices more and more new faces joining. This means many members broke the first 2 rules. But Tyler doesn't care. In fact, he wanted people to break those rules, because Fight Club was never about secrecy. It was about liberation. One night, Tyler proposes a new game. Members must now go out and pick fights with strangers in public, even if it means losing. The group keeps growing. Meanwhile, at work, the narrator tells his boss that most car accidents are caused by the company's own design flaws. And if he exposes this truth outside, the company's reputation will collapse. His boss angrily asks, "Are you threatening me?" The narrator replies calmly. But when his boss refuses his terms, the narrator suddenly starts beating himself up, punching and injuring his own face and body, making it look like his boss assaulted him. The company, terrified of a lawsuit, ends up giving him a full year's salary, office equipment, airline coupons, basically everything he demanded. With that money and resources, the narrator and Tyler kept expanding Fight Club. Now Tyler began assigning homework to members after each fight. They would go out into the city, vandalize property, set fires, smash cars. The chaos began to spread. Tyler collected all the newspaper articles covering these incidents and carefully pasted them into scrapbooks. Slowly, their actions were drawing public attention. One night, Tyler and the narrator walked into a store. Tyler grabbed a clerk, held a gun to his head, and checked his ID. He asked, "What's your dream in life?" Terrified, the man confessed that he once wanted to become a veterinarian, but gave up on his studies. Tyler told him, "Go back to school. Chase your dream. I'll check on you. And if you don't, next time, you're dead." He let the man go, who ran away in fear. The narrator, shaken, felt sick, but Tyler explained, tomorrow his life will be completely different. He will live every day with more intensity because he came so close to death. The narrator later discovers that the gun was fake. Tyler wasn't trying to kill him. He wanted to strip away fear. Soon, the narrator realizes Tyler has formed an army. Many Fight Club members, including Bob, are now living with Tyler in his house, carrying out his commands. One night, when the narrator returns, he finds everyone celebrating. On TV, the news shows that someone set fire to 2 windows of a corporate building. The narrator instantly knows it was Tyler and his followers. Shocked, he asks them, "Why are you doing this?" Bob tells the narrator that the rules of Project Mayhem are clear. No one is allowed to ask questions. Tyler himself had given the project its name, Mayhem. Soon after, they kidnap a police commissioner who was secretly investigating them. Tyler tells him bluntly, "You're going to stop this investigation. You'll also tell the media this isn't the work of any gang. It's just ordinary people rising up." The narrator becomes furious with Tyler. He feels betrayed because Tyler never told him about Project Mayhem before. When he confronts him, 2 members suddenly interrupt, chanting, "The first rule of Project Mayhem is, you do not ask questions." The narrator shouts back, "Why wasn't I included from the very beginning? Why was this kept from me?" This sparks a heated argument. In the process, the narrator discovers the shocking truth, that Tyler was the one who blew up his apartment. Not long after, they get into a brutal car accident. Tyler drags the narrator out of the wreckage. But immediately after, the narrator wakes up, as if from a dream. He searches for Tyler but cannot find him. In the basement, he sees Project Mayhem members working frantically on some mysterious assignment. The narrator, growing desperate, turns to Marla. But when he tells her, Tyler isn't here anymore, she gets angry and storms off. Meanwhile, a group of members return from a mission, destroying a credit card company's property. But tragedy strikes. Bob is killed in a police shootout. They bring his body back. The narrator breaks down in grief. The others, however, coldly refer to him as just the body. Furious, the narrator yells, "He's not just a body. He was my friend. He gave his life for us." Still, the members insist. In Project Mayhem, no one has a name. But the narrator refuses. He screams, "His name is Robert Paulson." The others start repeating it like a chant. "His name is Robert Paulson." From then on, they believe if anyone dies during Project Mayhem, only then do they earn a name. The narrator is horrified. He begins to lose control of the situation. He searches Tyler's room and finds plane ticket stubs. He begins traveling to the same cities Tyler had visited, but wherever he goes, he only finds more Project Mayhem members, already waiting for orders. Confused, he wonders, when did Tyler have the time to visit all these places? Was I asleep the whole time? At last, in one city, a waiter greets him warmly. "Welcome back, sir." The narrator is stunned. "Do you know me?" he asks. The man looks puzzled. "Are you testing me? You were here just last Tuesday." Piece by piece, the horrifying truth begins to dawn. Everywhere he goes, people are treating him as if he is Tyler Durden. Shaken, he rushes to a hotel and calls Marla. "Have we ever been intimate?" Marla explodes. "One moment you love me, the next you hate me. You're insane, Tyler." The narrator drops the phone, trembling. Suddenly, Tyler himself appears beside him. "You broke your promise. You swore you wouldn't talk to Marla about me." The narrator, terrified, asks, "Why does everyone think I'm you?" Tyler calmly replies, "Because you already know the answer." And then it all crashes down on him. The narrator realizes the truth. He and Tyler are the same person. Tyler was never real. He was a projection, a figment of the narrator's imagination. Everything he wished he could be. Stronger, freer, fearless. It was the narrator all along. He blew up his own apartment, kidnapped the commissioner, started Fight Club, and even brought Marla to his house. Whatever he couldn't do in reality, he imagined Tyler doing it for him. The shock is unbearable. Exhausted, he falls asleep. When he wakes, he learns that during the night he had made countless phone calls, none of which he remembers. All the people he called were members of Project Mayhem. Each of them repeated the same phrase. Everything is under control. He realizes his alter ego, Tyler, might try to harm Marla, so he gives her money, puts her on a bus, and tells her to leave the city immediately, because something catastrophic is about to happen. The narrator gathers files and goes to the police. He surrenders, confessing that he is the leader of the group. He warns them, his men are skilled enough to continue even without him. They are planning to blow up credit card companies and TRW buildings. When asked why, he explains, if all financial records are destroyed, no one will owe any debt anymore. At first, the police seem to take him seriously, but then he realizes some of them are secretly Project Mayhem members. They tie him up, saying, "You told us yourself, if anyone interferes with Project Mayhem, we kill them." The narrator narrowly escapes and runs to the building where the bombs are planted. He frantically tries to disconnect the explosives. Suddenly, Tyler appears. "Why are you doing this?" The narrator replies, "Because we can't take innocent lives." Tyler argues back, "We're not killing anyone. The buildings are empty." But the narrator ignores him and keeps disarming the bombs. Tyler becomes violent, attacking him, and finally points a gun at his face. But the security cameras reveal the truth. There is no Tyler. It is the narrator himself holding the gun. He is beating himself. He is threatening himself. Tyler snarls, "We're going to watch these buildings collapse together." The narrator then sees Marla, dragged into the building by members. Desperate, he tells Tyler, "You don't exist. The gun isn't yours. It's mine." And then, in one final act of defiance, the narrator puts the gun into his own mouth and pulls the trigger. The bullet rips through his cheek, but he survives. Tyler, however, vanishes instantly. The illusion is gone. Moments later, members bring Marla upstairs. She is horrified to see him bleeding, but alive. He tells the others to leave her alone and go. Marla stares at him in disbelief. "Who did this? Who's responsible for all this?" The narrator whispers, "I did. But it's over now. Everything is okay." Hand in hand, they look out the window as the credit card buildings explode into dust and fire. And the story ends there. The narrator's character reflects the struggles of many ordinary people trapped in a capitalist, consumer-driven society, losing their true identity in the process. Tyler Durden, on the other hand, represents complete rebellion, freedom without rules, chaos without consequences. In the end, the narrator realizes that while Tyler's personality is tempting, it is also dangerous. He cannot let that side of himself destroy everything. That's why he kills Tyler, for good. So what did you think about this movie? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon so you never miss an update. I'll see you in the next video.